We've come to see not Mark Cooper, but his father Terry. Terry, of course, who managed both Bristol clubs, played for Bristol City, and managed the club at an incredible time in its history when it had just recovered from almost going out of business. And there were some many happy days to remember. But first of all, TC, great to see you looking so well.
Yeah,
Health good?
Yeah, I'm okay at the minute. Yeah, so I'm feeling okay and looking forward to this game tonight.
Let's go back then to how did you first come to? Because you came to Bristol City first as a player, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, Norman Hunter was playing, wasn't he, and doing particularly well. And I was at Middlesbrough, and he rang me up one day and just said, you know, Alan Dix is looking for a left back. Would you fancy coming down? So I put it to the wife, and she said, you know, don't be stupid. You're 34. You know what? We're going from one end of the country to the other with the kids at school. I just fancied it, and so I came down and met Alan Dix. And I mean, in those days, you agreed terms in 10 minutes, and I agreed to come down. And I'm glad I did it because it's a lovely city to live in, and I think we ended up staying there 13 years and bringing the kids up. And I mean, Mark still loves to go back to Bristol. It is a nice place to live.
But when you came, Bristol City were a First Division club.
Yeah.
You couldn't have foreseen that not so many years later you'd be managing a club in the Fourth Division with no money whatsoever.
No, when I joined, I mean, nothing's really. Well, it's changed now, obviously. But I mean, when I joined, they were in what is now the Premiership, but didn't have any training facilities. And you know, I can remember Alan Dix and Chief Scout Tony
Collins.
Tony Collins. They used to be scratching around to see where we were going to train. Sometimes it's on the big car park outside, or across the road is at the police ground, and sometimes we're up on Ashton Court, which used to blow a gale, and they were all rugby pitches with, you know, tufts of grass. So they did remarkably well to get to the Premiership, but to be fair, they had some decent players. You know, they had some really good players.
Who do you remember from that time?
Oh, the lot of them. You know, Jerry Gowan, Gillis, Sweeney, Garland, Tommy Ritchie, John Shaw, and Peter Cormack, Norman, of course, Big Joe Royal. But I think the thing that got them through, or because they did pretty well, was the team spirit. They were all together. Good majority of local boys in there, and the team spirit was good. You know, it was good crack. I mean, I didn't play that much. I had problems with injuries in my Achilles tendons, but I really enjoyed my time there. Yeah.
So I made a complete hash of it at Bristol Rovers. How did you come to become Bristol City manager?
Well, Bob Boyd was one of the 7 directors, wasn't he, that put a few shillings in, and Mark, my boy, was playing for Boca Juniors, who Bob ran that team. And I think who else wanted it? Who else would take it, you know? I think he said to me, would you fancy being Bristol City manager? And I said to him, you're a brave fella after what I've just done at Rovers there. And he said, well, we've got 3 players signed. I think one was Bob Newman, Andy Llewellyn, or John Shaw. So he said, you know, it's a blank canvas, we've got to start from scratch. So I'd got nothing else to do, but what I did, I think the best experience I had was at Bristol Rovers, because I think I took it all in and I learnt quick. So even though I cocked Rovers up, when I went to City I was ready, you know, because I'd had 18 months of downs really, and I didn't want that again. So I learnt quick, and when I took the City job, there was only one way really that could go, unless you're a complete imbecile.
You did take them to the bottom of the entire league.
Of course.
I mean, they'd only got relegated 3 successive seasons. They were in the 4th division, but you took them to the entire bottom 92nd place.
Exactly. But that was only Christmas.
Yes.
And then when I'd got a few players in, I think if you remember, I brought Tom Ritchie back and Chrissy Garland, and they were absolutely fantastic for me. We had John Shaw in goal as well, and he was. So I suddenly had 3 experienced players to go with a bunch of kids, and then I sort of better come back as player manager. So we had 4 experienced players, good kids who I thought would do better than they did, or some of them. And then after Christmas, we suddenly started looking like a team and booked up, and I knew that at the end of the season, if I could get the right 3 or 4 players to add to that squad, that we'd have a realistic chance of coming, you know, getting in the top half and probably having a go at getting out. We did.
Promotion the following season.
We
Yeah,
did.
wonderful day at Chester, wasn't it? That promotion
Yeah.
was clinched. Always remember that day.
That's
Trevor
right.
Morgan scored twice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can always remember coming home and we were following all the coaches, and I think one had a big sign up saying, "Jesus said, come forth," and we did, because we did finish fourth, didn't we? And I thought, but supporters were fantastic. I mean, both sets of supporters in Bristol, they're passionate, and you know, City, well, they are in the Championship. Worst they should be is the Championship, and with a good chance of getting in the Premier.
How difficult was it in those early days with the club having no money at all? You brought Clive Middlemass in, of course, as your assistant.
Yeah.
You and Clive used to do an awful lot of jobs that maybe today would be delegated.
Well, we did everything. We took the training. I mean, we didn't have any training facilities. We were scratching about again, beg, stealing and borrowing. We'd take training. We'd go up to Darlington, Carlisle to watch players and games. He'd drive up because he was useless driving in the dark, and I'd drive back, and then we'd be in again, you know, 9 o'clock, preparing the lads. But the spirit was great. I mean, we didn't have anything. We couldn't even afford a cup of tea, but that brings you all together. You know, it brings you the team spirit together, and you know, it's them against us, and. You know, I mean, the turnover of players we had was unbelievable. I mean, turned a load of players over while I was there. But they were all different characters, you know. I remember Bobby...
Hutchinson.
Oh, God. Bobby Hutchinson. I mean, he could spring like a salmon and then couldn't pass water. But what a character, what a captain, you know. And then, you know, we suddenly had Keith Curle there, who went on to play for England, and Bobby Newman and all these. Alan Walsh, bless him. I mean, great left peg. We had some really good players. Stevie Neville. Glynn scored the goals. We had some really good players for that division, and you know, I can remember saying to Des Williams when we'd come forth in that division, I said, you know, is there a little bit of money so I can get 3 or 4 players? And I said, because another 3 or 4 players will push us again. And if you remember, I think the next 3 seasons, we always used to finish 6th or 7th. But I understood that they didn't want to go spend what they didn't have and drop, you know, go bankrupt again. So I understood that, but it didn't help me really, because you've only so long to sort of get them out, and then the players start not doubting you, but thinking different things. And it got to the stage where I thought, you know, I'm not going to be able to spend money, but I knew if a new manager come in, they'd give him money. Yeah. Why that works, I do not know. And if you remember, I brought Joe Jordan, and I think we played at Southend, and going back to Bristol on the coach, I said to Joe, look, I'm gonna resign tomorrow, because for the last 3 seasons we've just missed out. They ain't gonna give me any money, because they're used to our manager now, that, you know, he'll pull another rabbit out. And I said, it don't work like that. I said, and I'm going to recommend you for the job. I said, when you get the job, first thing you go to the board and you go and, I want to sign 3 players. And he did it. And I think the next season he got them out. But that's the state of football. You know, they do get used to who's there. But as soon as a new man comes in, initially they get what they want.